The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And good morning once again here at Analyze This, and we've got the Waste Management Authority here in the studio, along with its consultants, as we address sewage remediation here in the territory. I'll let the individuals introduce themselves. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm Alex Bruni, Engineering Manager for the Waste Management Authority.
Good morning. I'm Zach Robertson with Engineering Design Technologies, and we are the engineers of record for the waste management.
Morning,
Good
sir.
morning. My name is Glenn Wallace, Senior Vice President, Oasis Consulting Services. We are one of the subs on this project, providing engineering services.
Can't be using terms subs. You got to use the full term here on the show. Some people might not know. You said sub, you might be talking about a sandwich. Subcontractor.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah. Mr. Bruni,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to yield to you. Where are we with respect to sewage remediation in the territory?
Territory-wide, I think we're in a good place. We are,
Get closer to the microphone if you will, please.
as far as St. Croix is concerned, we have finalized our costs with FEMA. We're moving forward with the designs of the various sewer sheds in St. Croix. In the St. Thomas and John area, we're still in negotiations and with FEMA for that area, but things are moving pretty well, and I feel confident that we will walk out with at the end of it with sufficient funds for us to replace the system in that district as well.
What's the dollar figure territory-wide?
Territory-wide, it's hard to say because again we're still in negotiations in the St. Thomas and John district. Our estimate that we went in with for the St. Thomas and John area is about 3.9 billion, and that's because of the difference between the geology and the terrain in that district. In St. Croix, our estimate was roughly close to about 2 billion, and after the negotiations, we got roughly about $1 billion. So
Let me ask that question. This thing about negotiations. Why would you negotiate something that you've estimated as a need? This isn't a sports contract. This is a need for the territory. If the Waste Management Authority arrived at a number that is 1.6 or 1.8 billion, how do you negotiate down to $1 billion?
FEMA has different criteria and different formats of doing their estimation. When as part of the negotiations or the discussions, there were certain criteria that they utilized in order to come up with their estimate.
That's a significant. That's 50%, man.
It's
because if we're at $2 billion and we arrived at $1 billion, that's a significant drop, Mr. Bruni.
It's significant. I agree with you, but we're gonna make our best of it and try to accomplish our task.
Zach, good morning once again. Glad to have you on.
Good morning. Thank you.
Let's stay on this topic, right? Infrastructure needs are infrastructure needs, right? FEMA is a management agency, right? The Waste Management Authority is a technical agency. How does FEMA get to the... I understand they're the one that's doling out the money and all that stuff, but how do they get to the point where they could reduce our estimated cost by 50%?
Well,
I understand criteria and formulas
Right.
and all that stuff are what they are, but this isn't 10%. This is significant. This is half of what our local waste management authority has estimated. And our situation is unique from the standpoint that, we're not in Topeka and need material from Norman, Oklahoma. We're in the Virgin Islands. We're away from where what we need is manufactured.
yeah, and I think you're on point there. I think there is a little more cost associated with the islands, and maybe those formulas that they use are not directly associated with what the island's needs are and it costs are with shipping and not having 50 manholes sitting on a yard on the island. You have to bring them in from Miami or somewhere like that. So are those, I'm not sure how they factor that in. Is that factored in? Because we're I came from the States and we had it cost that we had to bring equipment in to do our work, and there's additional cost associated with shipping your equipment, getting your materials here. So are those numbers factored into that cost for freight? And just labor's different here. You don't have as vast majority of labor you can just pull from this city or so there's a lot of factors that they may not have in their formulas. I haven't seen their formulas. Maybe they do, but that would be where I would say that the difference is.
So
I know Alex has seen, he's got costs that he sees. He sees the cost of a manhole. So he knows what those costs are. So I'm confident that Alex's estimates are really based on real island costs, I guess you could say.
Mr. Wallace, as a subcontractor, you have a first-hand, not just view, but feel for what we're dealing with here in the Virgin Islands. You really believe our best effort was made, or FEMA has a real understanding of what our situation here is in the Virgin Islands?
Well, I think that, and I don't want to push up against what FEMA is doing, but I think that
Pull the microphone up a little closer so the public will hear.
when we went through things, we worked along with Alex after the fact, after we had gotten the job, to say, hey, these are the actual cost of things. And then when they came back and said, well, this is what FEMA wants this to be, from a subcontractor standpoint, looking at things here, I agree with Zach, because we spoke to Zach about that the island cost is a little different, and we don't know if FEMA has taken that into consideration. So from my standpoint, I think perhaps certain things will have to be redone or perhaps renegotiated to be able to get what we're trying to get to the Virgin Islands is the best industry practice and the best thing for the Virgin Islands. And you are correct. It's not as though we're in Topeka, Kansas, and we're pulling it from Dallas, Texas. We are pulling it across seas or across airs. So I think as we go along, we will perhaps revisit that with FEMA and VIWMA.
Mr. Merritt said here a couple years ago, Mr. Bruni, and said that the original estimates were between $1.5 billion and $2 billion per district, right? St. Croix was submitted first, and that was 2 years ago. One of the issues that has changed, that has impacted costs, is the Ukrainian invasion has undermined supply chain costs and increased everything across the board. So I'm just stunned at how FEMA, unless FEMA is including recovery money from the hurricanes as available funds for us to use, how they could arrive at a number at such a reduction from what was estimated 2 years ago.
Like I said,
Now, I know you probably want to take shots at FEMA. That's for me to do. But I'm just talking on the surface in terms of knowing numbers and knowing how you apply costs. Because one of the biggest issues we've had in the Virgin Islands for the last 30 years has been cost overruns with respect to projects. A majority of them come in at less than what is actually needed. One of our biggest, clearest examples is the Vital project right here for WAPA, which was originally slated at $75-80 million, and this had nothing to do with you. I'm just talking in general. And then when you do an audit, you find out that it ended up at $200 million.
So one of the things that we're doing is making sure that our plans and our specifications are are designed in a way and done conducted in a way that we don't leave out any obstacles in there that would allow for excessive change orders. And that's one of the things, reasons why we have the consultants working with us. It's just too much work for the amount of staff that we have on board to do this work within a timely manner. So the consultants here are basically our extension of our engineering division. We're taking the time to make sure that our designs are correct, our specs are correct, that we don't leave any items out that will be overlooked, and there will be a reason for a change order in there. It also goes to proper inspection on the project to make sure that we're keeping track of everything that's going on a day-to-day basis to eliminate the possibility of change orders. Are we going to have a contractor go out there and do work and not compensate them? No. But it's our job to make sure that whatever is built is correct. And I think the way that we're approaching it is we're looking at the fundings that we have, and we'll be able to, based upon inspection, smoke inspection, CCTV inspection, we'll be able to determine what areas of the sewer system is adequate to remain in place, what needs to be lying, what has to be dug up and replaced. And I think by doing it in that aspect, we should be all right. I would have loved to replace everything. That is my intention still, but we just have to go by day, look at what the system is available and proceed in that manner. At the same time, we're still aggressively looking for additional funding as well, so we could continue the process and try to replace and upgrade the whole entire sewer system.
Zach, the terrain on St. Croix, substantially flat compared to St. Thomas and St. John. However, we are bigger than St. Thomas and St. John. So how do we reconcile those realities in terms of costs, notwithstanding the fact that you got engineering angles that you probably don't that exist in St. Thomas and St. John in multiple areas that don't exist on St. Croix?
Yeah, here, I mean, it's actually, there's a lot of opportunity here. The system, and Alex can vouch for this, the system is from the 60s, so it's fairly old, very old system. Normally systems, you get a 50 to 60 year life out of a system. What waste management has had to do with, because of funding, is react to things. Well, what we're here to do is we're finding a lot of things that you don't see until there is a spill or a overflow, or things that happen when you have big rain events or storms come through. So we're seeing the things that we can fix, and a lot of it's the system's age, and we're able to come in here and identify with the smoke testing and the manhole inspections these areas that they are not sometimes able to capture with the smoke. We see storm sewers tied to the sewer system. Well, that increases volumes that are not designed to be handled at the pump station. So you have pump stations that's not able to handle the flows. We see opportunity with the landscape here. It is flat. St. Thomas is hills, and you got a lot of higher density properties. So access is not as easy over there to get to your sewers. Over here, you have opportunities, and that's what we're here, is to give them the opportunities to better the system and make it a system that lower maintenance. They're going to be able to have more access to the system and be able to get to those issues. And a lot of issues may be debris that gets in the system. Well, debris is going to get new system, old systems, but if they can get to that location and react to that quickly, where it may be in the bush now and they can't get to that manhole because it's so thick and everything. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities that we see where we can get the manholes out into the open areas and allow them to be able to maintain the key is to give them a system that they can maintain for the next 50 years, and minimize the overflows and the things that they're dealing with daily here.
Mr. Wallace, the work that was done during the Christmas time in Christiansted, digging up the road, was that did that have anything to do with the Waste Management Authority?
It had to do with the Waste Management Authority, but it didn't have to do with us. It didn't have to do with our contract with the Waste Management Authority.
So what was that work? What was done during the Christmas time in downtown Christiansted?
I think Alex is better able to answer that question because he was
So
tied to it.
the work in downtown Christiansted is a rehab project, replacing the gravity system in a portion of the downtown Christiansted area. That contract is being funded by the EPA, and it's separate and apart from what we're doing with putting replacement. It is upgrading the system, but it was done slightly differently from how we're operating with these projects.
Is the sewage remediation project that coming up with the prudent replacement, is that going to impact what was done most recent Christmas in Christiansted?
No. So what is in place in Christiansted would remain. There are additional lines running through Christiansted that we are looking at right now, as far as the main interceptor coming through Christiansted that takes the flow from east of Christiansted, from Gallows Bay, and going eastward to Paul Lawson School.
Paul B. Lawson, yeah.
Coming forward. So that system will be part of this current project that we'll be looking into and upgrading that system. At the end of the day, it's not about putting back the exact system that's in place. We want to make sure that we design a system for better service, better flow, and for future expansion as well.
Okay. The $3.9 million estimate for St. Thomas and St. John?
Correct.
And where are we in that process right now?
We're still in discussions. I think one of the things that we have to understand is that when you do this level of work, there's always a learning curve, always progression. So the things that we learn on both sides, from the waste management side and from FEMA, there's different things that we gathered, and we're trying to make sure that we correct any thing that we did not cover on the St. Croix side. We're learning and we're adapting on the St. Thomas, St. John side. We're making improvements in our discussions and our estimates.
We're talking with the Waste Management Authority. They are venturing out into a sewage remediation project that has been approved for St. Croix, and they're in the process of getting approval for the St. Thomas, St. John district. We've got Mr. Glenn Wallace, we got Zach here, along with Mr. Alex Bruni from the Waste Management Authority. We'll take a break and be back right after this.
Station in the Virgin Islands is underwritten in part by Bank of St. Croix. Elevate Checking from Bank of St. Croix is a flexible, high-yielding checking account that lets you customize your interest rate. You can raise your rate with a few easy steps, like using your mobile banking app or getting your paychecks by direct deposit. Earn more with Elevate Checking and earn 2.00% APY. Learn more by visiting your banking center or online at bankofstcroix.com/elevate. Must meet certain criteria to qualify. Rates may change at any time without notice after the account is open. APY is accurate as of June 1st, 2024. $25 minimum deposit required to open. FES or other conditions could reduce earnings on the account. Member FDIC. Bank of St. Croix is proud to support public media in the Virgin Islands.
we are not afraid to stand up to the high and mighty like Jeff Bezos.
He had that big cowboy hat on. He looked like a shrink ray had hit Garth Brooks.
I'm Peter Sagal. Join me as we speak truth to power, at least until power agrees to buy us out, on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me from NPR.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m. right here on WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands.
Enjoy a grand getaway to Austria's Schönbrunn Palace Gardens for the Vienna Philharmonic's 20th annual celebration of summer with works that highlight Europe's rich musical heritage. Conducted by Maestro Andris Nelsons and featuring special guest Lisa Davidson. Delight in the sublime Vienna Philharmonic's Summer Night Concert 2024 on Great Performances.
Tune in August 23rd at 9 p.m. on WTJX TV, Channel 12.
And we're back here, Analyze This. We're talking with the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority. We're talking with Mr. Alex Bruni. He is, what's the director? Hold on there. Engineering manager, right? Microphone for Mr. Bruni, please. At the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority. We got Zach Robinson, project manager from Engineering Design Technologies. You're based where?
I'm out of Birmingham, Alabama.
And Mr. Glenn Wallace, Senior Vice President, Oasis Consulting Services, based on St. Croix?
We are based both here and in Atlanta.
Atlanta, okay,
Yes.
good. Okay, good. Mr. Bruni, you wanted to elaborate on something so we don't give the public the impression that some type of preferential application is applied for St. Thomas and St. John. The reality is St. Thomas and St. John, because of the terrain, the geology, just the physical realities. If you look at both St. Thomas and St. John with the naked eye compared to St. Croix, you will see that St. Thomas and St. John are going to require, and this is coming from a Crucian, a specific and more detailed and costly application in addressing the infrastructure in St. Thomas and St. John compared to St. Croix.
That's correct. We have areas where sewer lines run uphill underneath stairs. So the question is, how do you bring material in? How do you run sewer lines? How do you place concrete and so forth, manholes, and then still maintain access to folks' homes at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
You can't truck it in. You can't bring a pushing machine in to do it. So a lot of it is all handwork. So that's one of the reasons why the cost is so excessive.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the geology, we're talking blue bit rock. Sometimes you just have a small outcrop of rock, and you're there for hours or days hammering a small section. That's time. Time is money.
Mm-hmm.
So from an engineering standpoint, we do our best to make sure that we design an estimate based upon what we're dealing with, and that's the reason right there.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just want you to know that the number for St. Thomas and St. John is legit, right? The number for St. Croix still came in a little small. I just want to let you know. Now, let's. Now, here's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be equal.
Correct.
And it shouldn't be equal because we're talking about two different entities. You know what I'm saying? But I still think the number came in small. Mr. Robinson, $989 million. This is what FEMA said they made available for St. Croix, right? We got 14 pump stations here on St. Croix, right? According to their press release. In lay people language, break down how, generically, how a sewage treatment system is supposed to function. From home to pump station to treatment, what have you.
Right. Well, to break it down, it's, it starts with, your water service coming into your house.
Mm-hmm.
That water service is a different entity, but it comes in, and a lot of people don't see. They see the water that comes in, they use the water, but then that has to be disposed. So it goes through your kitchen sink, your toilet, your shower, whatever. Well, that waste, I guess we could call it, goes into a system, and that has to go to a treatment process. Well, with the terrain, you have the mountains that divide you from the treatment facility, so you have to have these pump stations that take that and pump it to your treatment facility. And with this island having one treatment facility, they have to have numerous pump stations. So
let me stop you right there. Are we at the point now where we need more than one treatment station, or our population allows for us to have one treatment center?
It could be, there's pros and cons of having another treatment facility versus pump stations. The island was basically designed for pump stations, so you have that infrastructure or that location in place. So you take advantage of what you have in place. A new facility, a new treatment plant, there may be a place that would work but it's going to be costly. You're going to have to reconfigure your system to understand, if we eliminate 7 pump stations, what's the benefit of building that treatment plant to eliminate 7 pump stations? So you look at benefit, cost.
No. That's what.
So the system is a 14 pump station system
with one treatment facility.
With one treatment facility, you have the.
What's the deal on St. Thomas?
Now St. Thomas, I'm not as familiar with. Alex probably give you more information on that.
How many treatment facilities we have on St. Thomas, Mr. Brody?
On St. Thomas, we have.
Speaking to the microphones.
I'm sorry. In St. Thomas, we have, let me see, Brassview, Red Point, Mangrove, Jessup, about 4 treatment facilities.
4 treatment facilities.
And again,
territory what?
On St. Thomas.
I mean district what? Or just St. Thomas alone?
Just St. Thomas. In St. John, we have 2.
2.
Yes.
So you got 4 in St. Thomas, 2 in St. John, 1 on St. Croix. Why?
Terrain again. Take for example, once you reach up to the top of Rapone Hill, everything from the top of Rapone Hill to Bovoni, that's pumped to either Mangrove Lagoon or to Vesa Pump Station. On the north side of the island, we have Brassview, so that handles a small section on that side. And I forgot about Bordeaux. Bordeaux's on the west side of the island that handles that basin on that side.
So why does an 84 square mile island like St. Croix only require 1 treatment facility?
You have less hills, so it's a lot easier just to utilize the pump stations and pump it to another pump station and then to the treatment plant. It's a different configuration for St. Thomas versus St. Croix. How many pump stations we got in St. Thomas?
So one thing on St. Croix is you don't have the elevation, so you can build smaller pump stations with lesser pumps to be able to pump to the facility here. So
basically what you gentlemen are saying, you can't compare St. Thomas with St. Croix.
No. You have so much elevation. The LBJ is the largest pump station on the island, and it's Christiansted, and it goes out to the west, and it captures. There's 3 pump stations that pump to LBJ, but LBJ has to overcome the elevation over at Fig Tree. I guess it goes to Fig Tree.
Yeah, it goes to Cuesta Verde.
Yeah. And so it's the largest, and of course it's going to be the most costly to replace. But these other pump stations are smaller. They don't have as much elevation to overcome, so they're going to be more economical to replace. That gets back to your wastewater treatment plant. Why would you want to have another facility? Well, these smaller stations are, easier to work on and smaller cost associated with them when it comes to. But St. Thomas,
I gotta give you some history now.
Okay.
Okay. And I don't know if this predated Mr. Bruni joining the Waste Management Authority and all that, and Mr. Wallace grew up on St. Croix. I'm going to let you know what's going on now. Are you aware of the fact that the Waste Management Authority exists today because of failures at the LBJ pump station, which could have been because of overload? Right down here, we had District Court Judge Thomas Moore who beat up on the way our government was structured. The Department of Public Works was who managed all of our wastewater treatment before the Waste Management Authority existed. So here's what I believe is a legitimate question. Was there too much load at what was LBJ and what is LBJ today?
So the standpoint that we have storm sewer connections in the system, that's a major contributor to the reasons why we have a lot of issues at the LBJ pump station. When that storm water comes in, it brings an excessive amount of water that the pumps can't handle. Not only that, it brings a lot of debris as well that cause mechanical failures at the pump stations.
Because based on what you're telling me here, there's a different load at LBJ compared to the other pump stations. The other pump stations are smaller as it relates to capacity compared to LBJ.
That's correct, because LBJ takes into consideration the smaller pump station that's feeding into it.
Yeah.
That from LBJ goes to Cuesta Verde. Gravity feeds down to Fig Tree.
Yeah.
And then from Fig Tree is pumped to
Anguilla.
To Anguilla treatment plant.
Okay.
So between Fig Tree and LBJ, those are our two largest pump stations in and then what comes after that is Lagoon Street in Frederickston.
And they gravity feed from the opposite direction up to Anguilla.
Correct.
Okay. What about the north side of the island? The Mumbiju, Glen, La Valley.
That gravity feeds to Anguilla. There's smaller pump stations in those areas, but they pump to different destinations, then gravity feeds to Anguilla.
And that's a southern gravity feed from the northern part of the island down to Anguilla, which is on the south central part of the island.
Correct.
Okay, good. How does St. John work?
St. John, we have George Simmons, which is in a residential area, the centralized location of the island, that services that community. And then you have Cruz Bay, which services the downtown area in St. John.
And that treatment is done where?
In Cruz Bay, just located close by the barge dock in Idenai Pond. So it's, as you come off the barge, it's right in that location.
And that is included in our $3.9 million estimate?
No.
No?
No.
That's separate?
St. John, we're working on St. John.
Working on St. John. So this is strictly St. Thomas for the $3.9 million estimate.
Correct.
$2.9 billion estimate.
Correct.
Okay.
So what we did in St. Thomas was basically look at it from each sewer shed standpoint, because each sewer shed it had to be calculated differently in order to come up with the right number. Every area is unique in its geology, in its elevations, in its terrain. So we had to look at it from that standpoint and come up with different numbers.
Okay. Gentlemen, across the board, we're confident we're gonna get our sewage treatment in the territory to where we need it to be. And what's the timeline? 5 years, 10 years? Ballpark figure.
I am confident. As long as we continue with the progression that we are right now, we are gonna get there. I'm comfortable more now that I've been for the past 25 years working with the authority. Being that we have the funding behind of us right now to make positive changes. As far as time frame, I'm hoping that we can get this done within the next 10 to 15 years.
10 to 15 years, okay. Now, in the press release that I read here, FEMA saw to it to include with this July 22nd press release the $989 million for St. Croix sewage treatment. They said as of today, FEMA has committed $11.9 billion through its public assistance program towards emergency and permanent repairs for infrastructure damage during the hurricanes. In other words, they were comfortable in including this figure into the big figure, right? They say of the $11.9 billion, about $1.2 billion is approved towards hazard mitigation measures to help break the cycle of disaster damage and reconstruction. In other words, they're letting the public know that this is a continuation of what started 6-7 years ago with respect to our recovery.
Correct.
Okay. Work opportunities for Virgin Islands, are there? Is that potential real, given what we're dealing with now? Because one of the big issues we have, Mr. Wallace, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Bruni, is the contractors coming in and swooping in. We don't have a problem with you swooping in, but are you hiring locally?
So
sorry.
Before
That is one of the things I wanted to bring up today. Is that what we are trying to do right now? Is we are trying to hire local. We want the biggest part of our workforce to be from local. So
doesn't that benefit everybody when you do that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, it benefits everybody. One, and what we want to do is to be able, after this project is finished, we have trained the people that replaces Zach, that is local, that replace me, that is local, and so
not Alex, 'cause he's still a baby, but yeah.
So what we are trying to do is, and we will have a job fair once we get into things a little more. So we are trying to get our feet really into things, and some of the things that have been done is mainly really specific things, like the smoke testing. That is something that's specific. However, what we have done, since we are here, is we have hired local people to help and monitor those things. So we're going to continue to hire. We are now looking to hire young engineers. We're looking to hire engineers that perhaps are retired but want to come back into the workforce. So it is one of the biggest things that we have going, is to be able to hire local.
Zach, you wanted to say something?
No, I just want to reiterate what Glenn said about hiring local. We have a lot of opportunity. We've kind of completed a first phase to give us an idea of what we're dealing with, and now we know we're very familiar with the system now, and now we do want to engage some of the locals and get more input from them on what the future looks like for local engineers and local contractors, and get them more engaged with us to make this a great project for the.
And we are looking at using locals for things that, like the camera work. We have local people that are getting ready to do the camera work once we start that. So we are not going to bring from stateside what we can get here.
That's good news.
And it's in my best interest too.
I'm looking forward to getting you guys back in here again so we can hopefully get some good news with respect to the St. Thomas project. And you said the St. John project is a work right now?
Work in progress.
Work in progress right now. Alex Bruni, Zach Robinson, and Glenn Wallace, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Good luck with the project, and hopefully we hear good news going forward from here on out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
gentlemen.
Appreciate to be here. Glad to be here.
You got it. We'll take a break and be back right after this.